Every morning I take my cat for a walk on a leash because we don't want anything to happen to her. Oh God, I can't believe I'm revealing that. I swear the neighbors love me. They're like, is that a cat? Yeah, it's a cat. Just keep walking. Just keep walking, people. There's nothing to see here. Nothing to see.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 7 of Happy Freya. What an honor to have Maya on our show. She is businesswoman and entrepreneur of Just Two Girls shop in Toronto. It's amazing. I've been there. It's like fashionista. I'm just gonna say it's total glam, and you're like the most down-to-earth woman that like I know. So it's so freaking cool. And we did a podcast. In Toronto as well. So
yes, that was pretty much right after I met you.
yeah,
We got along so well, and
so,
we talked so much. It's like, oh, let's just hit record on this.
totally. And Maya has her own. She is the host of.
It's Just Two Girls on YouTube as well.
I keep saying shop Just Two Girls, but you know what? That is her Instagram handle and account. So go check her out.
Yes, please.
There you go. Let's send some love for the business out there. All right. Well, thank you so I just love your energy. I know it's difficult and tough times that we are going through right now.
Yeah, it is. You know what? I will say thank you for having me on. It's an honor it's an honor to have you interview me, but it's also an honor that this is my first Zoom interview. So I'm so happy that it's with you.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, good.
I've never done this before. I'm all nervous.
I love how you show that. Because you know, I'm from the West Coast here of Canada, so we're connecting Canadians here from West Coast to East Coast. Maya's out of Toronto. How is it like in Toronto, and how are you handling it with the business and your shops and everybody kind of like?
Well, we closed. Home life has gotten. It's like I guess for everybody else, it's gotten to a new normal. Like at the beginning, it was such a shock. Like schools are shut down.
Yeah.
This was probably mid-March, and then we got the whole thing of like small businesses now have to close. So we closed mid-March, and we haven't been open since. I mean, I do have an online presence and social media presence, which is great. But after 5 weeks of this, you start to see those small businesses that are, suffering.
Yeah.
And we talked about this earlier that, it's hard because you got, on one end, you have people trying to survive at home, and you have entrepreneurs that are just trying to survive building a business that they did, a small business that they've been running for 5-10 years, and now it's going to be shut down because at the end of the day, rent still needs to be paid, like bills still need to get paid.
Exactly.
Right now they're deferring a lot, which is great. I mean, like I said, the government is doing everything that they can, but it's hard. I keep as grounded as I can, and as positive as I can. So I don't let it get to me. So there's some days, I think like everybody else, there's some days that are harder than most.
Yeah.
There's been only a couple of days where you're like what is going on in this world? It actually gets a little scary. It kind of freaks you out a little bit.
It's freaking people out.
Yeah.
This is like on a global scale. This is not like an isolated country or continent or anything. This is worldwide phenomenon that's occurring here.
You never think in your lifetime or in your children's lifetime or my kids' lifetime that they'll ever live through a pandemic. Like, it's like, what year are we in? But you know what I mean? It's like, but the weird thing is that, I mean, again, trying to stay positive, is like later on to the kids, we're like, you could tell your children that this is what you lived through, because we're hoping that this never happens again.
That's true. Like, yeah.
Because we went through SARS, and SARS was not like this.
No, it was not.
No. So.
Yeah, these are tough topics and tough times, and I feel like conversations like these where people can connect, it's important to connect with your friends, and important to connect with businesses, how we can support one another. I know in Vancouver, they're definitely, supporting small businesses with online orders or that kind of presence to keep them going.
Yeah, and here we do, yeah, the online orders. A lot of small businesses that didn't have online presence, like online shops, have developed them, or have their own crafty way of doing it, which is great. In my area where I am in the Junction, we all support each other.
I love the
The
junction.
restaurants,
The
I know.
junction's got a vibe. Seriously, does it not? The junction has its own vibe. It's
Yeah, it has a good, nice family vibe to it, that's for
right.
sure. Yeah, and businesses are trying to, and trying to support local. A lot of, if you, I'm sure in your area too, or your followers and my followers, and on Instagram, you see so much of support local, support local, support local. So, which is great. It's a great message out there. And then, you know, it makes people aware that here's these small little businesses are in your area, support them. Even restaurants, right? A lot of restaurants are doing takeout and curbside pickups
Yes.
and specials, and again, being on in social media more. So and again, trying to stay positive is that it also really fast made some businesses learn that how important it is to have a presence in social media and in your neighborhood. So, lesson learned for some businesses as well. And it's a great lesson.
It is a great lesson, and thank you for sharing that, especially for somebody who's like in the front line of small businesses, and to hear
Mm-hmm.
that voice on how.
Yeah, and you know what? It's kind of like just like a picture. Just forward a picture to somebody if they, that they're ordering in. Hey, I do that for one of the local restaurants that I support in my neighborhood in the Junction. I'll send it to all my friends and say, hey, they're having a great special. And so you just try everything that you can as an individual, whether you own a business or not, is try to support what's around you.
That is so beautiful. Thank you for
Oh,
sharing that. Even sending it to your friends, like that's amazing. Your specials, like that's very heartfelt. So I do want to talk about this. It wasn't one of my questions, but online presence. How important is that today? I know we're building communities through in-person interactions and meeting, and that's important. But now online presence seems to have a very powerful factor and a voice behind it, and so do podcasts as well.
yes, yeah. Podcast has made a big online presence in terms of retail is
Yes.
always been there. I mean, women do tend to like to try on clothes, but as long as because I'm a small business, my clients know me, or they know me, and they can ask questions, and I know them, so I can recommend sizes and all that stuff. So for mine, it's been great. I always tell everybody that if they're going to order any kind of, whether it's from me or anybody else, to just look at, in terms of retail, look at the pictures, make sure they're genuine, make sure they look real, make sure they don't look filtered. Where is this product coming from? Is it coming from China? Is it coming from, like, are you getting it in 7 weeks? You know what I mean? So there's certain things that I warn people or tell them to look for when it comes to that. But in terms of the podcast, yeah, people are, well, not now because no one's going anywhere, but people spend time in their car, and there's commuting when they go to work, and so they'll put on a podcast now, and they want easy listening too.
That's
So
true.
I think podcasts are great. And the thing with podcasts, like you touched upon, is you can be real.
Yes.
And the thing I like about, doing our YouTube channel and doing podcasts like this is that it's not filtered. It's real conversations. It's the truth. It could be in your opinion or my opinion, but there's still a truth to it. And there's still an open conversation. So even if it is controversial, again, we talked about this,
Yeah.
then open up a dialogue. Like, somebody can be in their car and yelling at me and being like, what did Maya say, or whatever, and I'll be like, bring it on. Like, that's the way, because that's one thing with being so electronic nowadays,
And
that
having a
the
public
this
face and a public voice too, because now you're in a
exactly.
right. It comes
Yeah, and there's a lack of communication when it becomes just being in front of a computer all the time. So these podcasts at least can open up communication or conversations with, other people that they're sitting around. They can say, oh my God, I heard this podcast today.
so and so said this and so said that, and yeah, we were just saying that it's good to open discussion, and the second thing is to also give space to a bit if you're to the anger a bit, and kind of just resolve it, and kind of understand other people's point of view, because
Yeah.
I believe is empowering as well. So
Oh,
here,
totally.
here we go. I mean, when I was on Maya's show for Just Two Girls, she pulled out.
Oh no, I'm in trouble. I knew you were gonna get me back.
It's the ball of mysterious conversations that I had no, I had no clue she was gonna. I was so nervous.
You did good. We did good.
We did good. It was, I mean, so much fun. It's so nice to laugh and just like get the giggles out. So
Yes, and that's very important.
so here we go. I'm gonna pull out from my little head here.
Go ahead. This
All right.
this little head knows a lot about nothing. No, I'm just joking.
They say like trust those who claim they know nothing because they really know they know that you're always gonna learn something new.
Yes. Yeah.
So I appreciate that. All right, here we go. This is my revenge on on the Torontonian. Okay, I thought this was a relevant question. I did want to ask this. How do you overcome obstacles and stress in life, and especially during these times? How do you deal with the emotional factor of that?
Thankfully, I think these kind of conversations and these kind of platforms are great, because it still keeps you connected to the people that you love. Because unfortunately, we can't see a lot of people. Like I haven't seen my mom in 6 weeks or something.
Wow,
So
yeah.
these kind of platforms do make it easier to see a person. So this is great. Myself personally, I mean, sometimes, like I said, being at home, it's being at home. I do a lot of walks, and an exercise is my form of meditation for myself. But that's when I think, and that's when I get out of my head, and that's when, and thankfully, it's in our climate that we are right now, we're not at a point where we can't leave our house. Like some places in Europe, is not that much of a lockdown. So when you find that you are just so stressed out and you're being pulled in many ways, especially if you have small kids, it's like just take a breather, just go outside, take a breather, walk around, get that fresh air. Like I think a lot of people think that being at home, meaning like when they say stay home,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean stay home. Like you still need something. Like even the kids, like they have recess during school days because school is now done at home. So let them go out for 15 minutes. That's why they have it in school as well.
This is so
Try to keep the normal as you can. I know that, I'm not a perfect mom. I'm not a perfect, it was not a perfect household. I haven't set my kids up with blackboards and learning center or whatever,
Right.
but I try to keep them on some sort of schedule. So that's like I was saying, it probably took about 2 weeks for us to get into a new normal. And that's when people say, how are you doing? I said, you know what? We've adjusted to the new normal because this is a new normal.
That is okay. That's prime time. I call it like that. That is really good advice, and thank you for sharing that. And we were talking earlier. As long as you, well, in here in Canada stuff, as long as you maintain your social distancing, which many are outdoors.
Yes. Yeah.
In parks, it's all one way, or they don't cross, or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh yeah.
It's there, and you're right. People are just, and they're smiling here. They're getting their vitamin D. That factor, that's so important. Even kids in recess, I love that. For those of you who are moms, dads, parents, I mean, that's important for the kids.
It is because they go crazy. Yeah. I mean, they go crazy as much as we do, and try to do. I mean, again, trying to stay with the positive. Not every day is like this, but you have more family time. And for the people that live alone, unfortunately, because there are people that are single and just live alone. And even that is still being able to go outside or connecting with somebody or going on FaceTime, scheduling. There's so many outlets out there through FaceTime, through stuff like this, Zoom, through that you can just connect with your friends. Send a text saying, hey, get on Zoom at 7:00. I'm on it. And like, let's see each other, have a drink together.
Yeah.
I
love that. That's so good. I saw that too. Like people having drinks online. That's
yeah. You know what? I mean, it's again, it's the new normal for now, hopefully. And the thing is people have to stay at home. And for those that have lost somebody, I mean, because of this, I mean, there's no comfort to that, unfortunately, because they're not able to be with them through their last days and all that. So that's the saddening part of it. That's the part that's going to be hard for some people.
Thank you for sharing that. That's very important. Everything that you said there, actually. So thank you.
Mm.
All right. Well, second question. I'm going to add an audio clip right here.
Okay.
What's your superpower and why is it important on Earth today?
You know, the people that are around me, that I love them and I care about them, and I always want to make sure that they feel loved. And I think that's one thing that you try to always make someone feel like they're needed or they're wanted and that they're loved and they're cared for, because that's something that sometimes is lacking in our, you know, in.
I was just going to say that I do feel that everything that you said, those qualities, I think we're trying to like, what do you call it? Cultivate it again.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that would be it. That would be the people that are around me. I try to always make them feel like that they are important and that they have meaning and that they are loved.
I feel that as soon as I stepped into your shop, I'm telling you, like, you go step into my shop, this is all over.
Yeah, not now, I'm not there.
But it's like every person through your door, it was I want to call it like an undivided attention, and that is really rare to give nowadays because we're so bombarded, as we're saying, by tech and other messages, that it was so refreshing to be in person and then have somebody like really acknowledge you and then even ask like, what's your style, you know, what's your thing, what are your colors, like all the, it was just so it was like a boutique kind of like experience. Like I felt important, as you just said. And I do believe that is a superpower, so thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask this question. I think it's important. EQ, you know, like your emotional intelligence.
Okay.
And during these times, I feel, and with any times as well, like there's a lot of healing going on and triggers and people are in at home. It's like, how do we utilize this time for our, you know, personal work or to balance ourselves emotionally, because we're constantly still being bombarded with information. How do we center ourselves? Again, as like I observed from your shop and from you, you seem like somebody's really stable and like a rock. And how can we harness that kind of stability in our life? You know, it's so important right now. And I'm asking for myself too, because it's tough. I'll wake up and it's just, you know, sometimes we wake up and we hear music, right? Turn on the stereo, turn on this, right?
Yeah.
We're always plugging in or go for, you know, jog and still listen to something. I'm not saying those things are bad. I'm not giving it that quality at all. I'm just saying, what else can we do to center ourselves, to not rely so heavily on tech, to be our center?
Well, you know, it's always important for someone to love themselves and I'm not saying that you don't love yourself, I'm saying in general,
Yeah.
people should really, you know, we should really stop criticizing our own selves and just to love who we are. And I think that comes with age. I think I said this before.
Yeah.
It comes with age. That kind of stuff does come with age and knowing who you are, what you are, your importance. But you have to take time to have some me time if there's all this noise around you. But if you're living alone, it's just, you know, meditate and do your affirmations. But really, if you're going to do that kind of stuff in terms of meditation and stuff, is you gotta have to believe in it. Like believe in it and know that, you know, that you are important and that you need to, I think the first step is to know that you like to love yourself and know what your self-worth is. I always say that to people. Just what's your self-worth?
You're adamant on that. You're adamant.
I always say that. I say that in relationships though. I say that with friendships. I say that at home. Because it's your self-worth. Because what you think about what you are and what your worth is what you're illuminating out into the universe and the people that are around you. So that energy that you're giving off is the energy that is going to come back to you. It's kind of like you have to step back and say, what kind of person do I want to be? And you know what? Again, no one's perfect. I'm not perfect. But I do know what my worth is. I know what my time is worth. I know the people that I want to surround myself with. because it's, especially now, all we have is time. Like sitting at home, just sometimes it's like, oh my God, all we have is time to think. And it's funny because I've had this conversation with numerous people in terms of that. And it's some people are finding this time to actually do that.
Okay.
So if you are at home,
yes,
take the time to find out who you are, because when you come out of this, when we all come out of this, we're back to civilization, we're back to being in our, you know, our day-to-day stuff in our busy lives. For hopefully for some people it's an awakening.
Thank you. I was going to say that because I feel like after this, even now, I mean, the Earth as a planet as a whole, and we as our citizens, I feel like we're different after this.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because I've seen it online as well, where you, and sometimes I'll say to the kids, "What did we do to piss off God? Like, you're just mad at us. Like, what the hell?" You know, like, what do we do so badly here? But sometimes, you know, you sit there and go, maybe it's the universe telling us to slow down.
Okay.
And you know, it sounds corny. It sounds kind of like whatever.
It's hard to apply though. I mean,
yeah.
I'm a busy go person. And just yesterday, I realized my own personal habit of getting so busy, and then I crash, and then I'm like, and then I have a little Shiva god behind me who's like creation and destruction, right? And I almost thought like it's time for me to like recognize and realize that habit and kind of destroy it, to not overextend myself or burn myself. And then and then I just got the message of slowing down. I'm telling you right now, honestly, I don't know how.
Oh, yeah, you're talking to the wrong girl. I'm the same way. It's always like, go, go, go. It's like, okay, well, what do we do? Okay, I came back from, actually, I wake up, weirdly enough, take the cat for a walk.
Oh, no, you did not. Did you?
Every morning, I take my cat for a walk on a leash, because we don't want anything to happen to her. Oh God, I can't believe I'm revealing that. And then I come home with her. She's so cute. I love her.
What's her name?
Her name is Lady.
Oh my, of course.
No, of course. She's somewhere here. She's probably sleeping somewhere.
Lady's going for a walk. Okay.
You know, yeah, I meet her with her pink hair. I swear, the neighbors love me. They're like, is that a cat? Yeah, it's a cat. Just keep walking. Just keep walking, people. There's nothing to see here. Nothing to see. Like a bad accident. Move on.
Like a bad with some things going on Earth, it feels like a car accident, and you don't want to look away.
I know, right? That's true. So then I come home, do my exercise, do like so, and then okay, I got to put in laundry. I got, you know, it's always go, 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 and sometimes even I find it hard just to sit. But I think, as again, our new normal is coming, as a family, we have time to say, okay, tonight we're watching a show, or tonight we're watching this, or we're going to watch a movie. So, you know, you kind of have to schedule it. It sounds weird that you have to schedule that, because something shouldn't be scheduled, but you do. It's nice to schedule that, because again, it becomes a new normal, and hopefully those things that you develop, or people develop at home, don't go away, right?
The scheduling, I've heard that from even medical practitioners and people who are going through stress or grieving process or anything like that, was to always instill, you know, connection with family, or get the schedule. Even high performers, it's about scheduling. So I know we're like, oh, it sounds kind of weird, but for many, it's like, it's kind of like how their output was based, because they schedule their time. And even
but the thing is too, with scheduling it, when you schedule something and you complete it, there's something about it. There's a satisfaction of completing it.
Yeah, there's a psychology factor with that.
Exactly, right? There's something to that. So when at the end of the day, even though you've scheduled, even if it's scheduled, you know, watching a show for half an hour or whatever, it's something that's completed. So when people go to bed, there's like this mental checklist in their head that this is all that they've done, because it's so easy to get into a rut. I think it's so easy to lie around the house or on the couch and just spend hours watching Netflix. And don't get me wrong, would love to do that. Not my personality. It's also not my personality to do that. But sometimes you find you're like, well, watching, 6 hours go by. You're like, what the hell did I do today? But it's easy to have that repetitive, right? But if you schedule a day of, for 3 hours, all I'm doing is watching Netflix. I don't care, reality TV, whatever you want to do. And it's still something that is scheduled. I'm a very believer in scheduling things.
I adore that, because I feel like even in the writing community as well, and I just heard, I can't remember who it was, but talking about scheduling your writing time. If it doesn't get completed, if writers, even if you're working on a very long novel, do a short story or do a poem, so that at least you can say at the end of the day or the end of the week, at least I finished a poem while I'm working on this longer project.
Right. Yes.
Playing with the psychology of it all, of having something completed.
Yes, it is. It's going to sound silly, but it's even scheduled. Like, it's even in my head knowing that I cleaned a closet. Like, yes. Today I'm like, oh, not today, but like I wake up and it's like, today I'm going to clean that front closet. And it's just going there. Even if it takes a half an hour, it takes half a day, it takes 15 minutes, that is completed.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was stuff like that.
Even I thought that too. Girl, I woke up this morning and I was like, man, closet, I'm going to shut the door on this.
So trust me, I will say my closet for where my clothes are, that still hasn't gotten cleaned. I've not done that one yet. I've done the other closets.
Cat still wants her walk.
So I gotta walk my cat.
That's so awesome.
I'm gonna send you a picture of that.
You just made my day with that. Seriously.
Where's my little lady? I'll go find her by the end.
Shout out to Lady. We have to get Lady in the clip at the end. All right, this is our last question. We're wrapping up here.
Okay.
And it's tying in with the last one. It's so cool how synchronicity. I think after all this, people are changing, and we are going to change after that. And I feel like a lot of them are asking questions about their career. I know this is a bit loaded, or maybe relationships and things that are important in their life. If people came to a fork in the road and both decisions look like really good decisions, what's the mental process in deciding which path to take?
Follow your passion.
I
knew you were going to say that. Follow what's going to make you happy, regardless of what it is. And because there's even if both of them will make you happy, there's always going to be one that's going to make you happier, that's going to be more fulfilling. It's going to be a passion of yours that you believe in, because anything you're passionate about, it will. And it's probably the harder one. That's the thing.
I was just going to say that. It's difficult to walk the passion path.
Yes, because it's the harder one. It's always the harder one. But when you're when you're passionate about something, things fall into place because you work harder at it, because you believe in it. So that energy, like I said, going back to your energy that you're giving off into the universe, it actually helps. And then the people that are around you, because they know you're so passionate about it, they support you, and friends support you, and loved ones support you, and people see that. And that's maybe having the store and then doing things like this is because you love it so much.
That's true.
And things grow, right? And then you always ask yourself, you don't want to regret. What's the decision that I'm not going to regret? Because if you go down the easy road of it's something that you still like to do, and then the other one seems, oh no, it's too hard, but I really love doing that, but it's too hard, I'm going to go here. Well, is that decision you're going to regret that in 6 months from now or a year from now?
Or many years from now.
Or many years from now.
Because, thank you for bringing that up, because I feel like a lot of people went the route of practicality, or logic, or maybe status or income or whatever. And not that, I'm not making any judgments on something.
No. And all that's important as well.
Yeah. Happiness and passion is just something that, hardly,
I'm passionate and happy about something, the money comes.
Yes. Bam! That's it.
Yeah, and not that we're living like rich or anything like that, but little bit of money or the lot of money, whatever someone is doing, it
Yes.
will come and it'll still be satisfying. If it's even $5, you're like, oh my God, I earned $5 doing this. I'm like, I can't believe it. And if it's $50 or $500 or
Yeah.
$5,000, you're still having the same feeling. Doesn't matter what that dollar amount is.
Ah, that's so good. Serious. What?
Ah,
That is it. I think we're gonna wrap it up because that's
okay. But we better do another one then.
okay. Well,
Wait, where's my little lady? Oh no, get little lady. She needs to do a little thing.
it's her
Oh,
debut. Did you?
I think, during these times, especially, but in any other time, just, we have to remain positive. Some days are harder than others, but you have to remain positive because what goes on here can sometimes drive us crazy and it'll play with us. So as long as you keep those positive, and even if it's somebody else that will have to shake you and say, snap out of it, let that person shake you and let them snap you out of it, because you have to stay positive, especially during these times. It will pass.
I love that. I love that. That's so perfect. Thank you. Thank
I
you.
love you.
I love you too. Thank you so much. This was
Virtual hugs. Social distance. This is as much as social distancing hugs that we're gonna get. Like, we can't get any more social distancing between us. Here you go.
Just bring it in. Bring it into your family, even though you're driving your family crazy at times. Just go ahead and do it.
That's
wow,
fun.
I learned a lot from you again so much today. You offer these like, lady's not gonna make the cut.
No, she's sleeping. Cats. Lazy sometimes.